What is the Azores? Why is it so popular? And what do you do there? In this video, I'm going to talk about my trip in May to the Azores, what we did, and my top recommendations on visiting the islands. So, what is the Azores? It is a collection of islands off the coast of Portugal. The reason we went there, me and my family went there, is because we wanted to find an alternative to Hawaii. We had always wanted to go to Hawaii, but because of everything happening there, and the locals warning tourists not to go there, we wanted to respect that and find something very similar to Hawaii that was affordable and within easy reach from New York City. So we ended up looking at the Azores. The reason we chose the Azores is it has a very similar geography to Hawaii. It has a lot of volcanic activity. They have a lot of lush green fields. They have a tea plantation there. So that's why we chose the Azores. It was about a 7 hour flight. You stopped in Portugal first and then you did a transfer to the Azores. I wanted to go to the Azores because I had hit a huge milestone in my business at the time and I wanted to celebrate with my family. So me and my sister, we coordinated this trip and I'm going to go through all of it. We went in May, which is the off-peak season. I highly recommended it. If you don't like the cold, I would recommend you might want to wait until the summer, but you will avoid the crowds in May. When we went, there was no one there. A lot of the tours were empty. We were usually the only family that were on those tours. So I recommend going in May, and I recommend waterproof. Have waterproof everything. You want to have waterproof boots, waterproof raincoats. It rains a lot in May in the Azores, and the weather there is unpredictable. The tour guides often joked with us that you could not predict the weather in the Azores because it would change hour by hour. So I would recommend bringing a lot of light layers and a lot of rain gear that you could pack into your carry-on. Two, in terms of how long you should stay there, we stayed there about 5 days, but it's not enough time to visit all the islands. I would recommend a 2 week stay in the Azores. We only stayed on the island of Madeira. I'm probably completely butchering it. It was really easy to get around. You want to rent a car. Really important with transportation is with the Azores, there's no public transportation. They have a couple buses here and there, but even the locals recommend renting a car. And you want to, if you're going in the summer season, they all recommend renting the car a couple weeks beforehand because there are a lot of rental car places that are sold out in the summer, which is another reason why we wanted to go in May so that we wouldn't have car problems. So yes, rent a car when you're in the Azores. There's not really a reliable way of moving around. There is a taxi service, but it's cheaper to rent a car for how much you'll be driving. We pretty much drove every single day all around the island, and they were like 30-minute trips. No matter what point we wanted to go in an island, it was about 20 to 30 minutes. It was never longer than an hour to drive. In terms of what to do in the Azores, there's so much. If you are a nature lover, I highly, highly recommend it. One of our first days there, we did quad biking, which was an ATV tour all throughout the island. We got to see a lot of sights, but this is where the rain gear really came in handy. It was constantly raining and then the sun would come out. We would see so many rainbows, but like you really want to make sure to protect yourself if you're going to do a hike like that. It's very foggy too. So if you're deciding to drive up there, just be careful because it's hard to see on the road when you're going up into the mountains for the Azores. Food, that's another thing I wanted to mention. If you have dietary concerns, we found two vegan restaurants in the Azores that me and my family both love. My mom is a vegetarian, so we wanted to make sure that she was taken care of. But they do have vegan restaurants in the Azores, in the city center in downtown. Their known dish in the Azores are limpets. They're like a sizzler. I highly recommend it. Other things to do. A lot of it you can go hiking for free. You can try the tea for free in Azores. You can also do day trips to other islands. Like I said, 5 days is not enough to do everything in all the islands, but in Madeira, we were able to do a tour where we did a tea plantation. These are the only tea fields in Europe. They're the only region in Europe that produces tea. You can try the tea for free and roam around. Then we headed to the village of Furnas. This is a really special geothermal area. It's surrounded by the Furnas lakes, and we learned how to create their traditional stew. It's slow cooked using the natural steam of the volcano. And then we ended the day at Terra Nostra Park in Furnas. This has mineral rich water, and be careful because it will stain your bathing suit and affect your hair if you take a swim, but the gardens were beautiful. We walked around here for about an hour and a half, and this is how we ended our tour.